People thought that they might be back to work. They thought the unemployment might be kicking in. None of that's happening. So I guess what we would want to ask Cy is how does this extension, this latest 1 month extension, affect customers of the utilities? And good morning, by the way.
Buenas, Chris. Buenas. Enjoying the show, Sabrina.
Good morning.
You're doing a good job in a very tough situation.
Thank you.
And when I see the governor, I say, you have the most thankless, most difficult job on Guam because
She does.
No matter what you do, you're going to have people that are not going to agree.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said earlier, I don't know if it was Chris or Sabrina, but even the best laid plans, it's the execution that really teaches you, did the rubber hit the road the way you thought it might, and when it doesn't, how do you adjust? But I'm encouraged that just my lay person is, the anecdotal evidence seems to be we've blunted the curve, and I'm glad we're talking about reopening. And reopening is a double-edged sword because even if you reopen, let's say a restaurant, right? Who's going to go to that restaurant if you haven't had a job or haven't had a check for X weeks or I believe something. I've been listening to media for a long time. I've been in this game a long time. When that money finally gets released, and we'll listen every day to you and others, that it's finally going to get released. And you've pointed out the logistics of just getting 13,000 or 7,000 checks out. It took them 2 weeks, right? So it's a big challenge. But you're seeing it across the country too. You're seeing unemployment checks not getting to people on the mainland. So the execution is of this huge amount of movement of resources and to people in an unprecedented time. It's just it's tough. It's tough, and I don't I feel bad for everybody because those that aren't receiving it need the help, and those are trying to give it. But you've got your magic wands there, but there's a limit. There's a limit to what those can do.
Does this waive away the utility bills? Because I'll do it if I got to use 2 wands.
Well, you don't want it to wave away the utility bill because that would mean you aren't getting any utility service, right? So, but as I look at it, but first off, no power or water is going to be disconnected, and so far, our management has maintained the policy. And we're meeting tonight. We'll talk about it. That if the governor extends the emergency, then we extend the no disconnection, right? And because it's just not the time to. It's like the typhoon's still blowing. Let's not worry about whether how to fix what's broken. We're not sure how much is broken yet. Mm-hmm. We're still adding it up. We're seeing demand has fallen, right? On the business side, we're seeing demand has risen a little bit because the weather's warmer, but it's definitely lower than last year. We're seeing collections fall. Remember how GWA had opened up in Upper Tumon, and that thing was packed. From 6:30 in the morning till 3. Now there's nobody there. Why? Because people haven't gotten a check for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and there's no. Even if they wanted to pay their utility bill, they have no way to do it. So that pent up money needs to really get out there, and I hope they can get it out there as fast as humanly possible. But when I'm hearing states haven't got it either, and they're struggling, it's a global situation. So at least on the utility side, we're trying to minimize stress to people in this part of the world. Is just say, look, we're not going to turn you off now. If you haven't paid your bill for 1, 2, 3, 4 months, we have to think about that, and we're going to have to figure out a solution. But I was sharing with John B., and this is just my personal opinion. It's up to the 5 of us to think about this and talk about it. But whatever that number is, Chris Barnett says at the end of the day, I couldn't pay three months of my utility bills. I think the utilities, we should take a very long view on repayment. I'm not at, hey, just give it for free, because the oil's not free. The generators are not free. There's nothing free in life, right? I mean, it's just not free. But that doesn't mean we have to try to recover it. I think the standard rule is either 3 to 6 months. And I think in this case, we're just going to have to break that rule. We're going to say, we may have to give people 1-year payment plans, 18-month payment plans. I don't really know because the typhoon's still blowing, right? But right now we're taking it on a case-by-case basis. And most people, we're just seeing the number of people not paying begin to rise. And that's only going to get higher. And it's going to be it already is a real challenge for people. So my expectation is there's going to be a number of power and water bills unpaid. Now, we're going to need to figure out how to get that money back, but we're going to have to take a long view because people are going to owe bills in so many other places, right? They're going to owe rents. They're going to try to catch up on health, life insurance, whatever the bills of families are, right? They're not getting income in, so they're not able to pay it even though they want to. So, and the economic recovery, even as they gradually reopen it, it's going to take time. Who's going to run to a restaurant if you hadn't had a check for a month? There's no tourists coming in. So, but it's chicken and the egg. Tourists aren't going to come till we say Guam is safe enough to come,
right,
and their countries feel it's safe enough to travel. And you're starting to see a little bit of that, but it's going to take some time. And so, it's hard to say patience. Stay patient. We are a patient people, but at the reality, if you're looking at refrigerator and there's no food in it, you're looking at that wallet and that ATM and there's $10 left, the stress levels are huge, and at least at our level we're going to do everything we can to help our people through this, and whatever that shortfall is, I think we're going to have to take a very long-term view. Someone's going to have to work real hard to convince me to say, well, just give away free power for 3 or 4 months, because pretty soon the bills run up, right? And you got to pay the oil companies, even though it's very inexpensive. But we've got 6 months of inventory tied up now in lower fuel costs, but that's like $80 million. It's not free. So, and luckily the ratepayers, the power company owned by the ratepayers, the water company owned by the ratepayers, is financially strong enough to weather this storm, even weather that we're not going to get paid by many of our customers for a while, and yet we can keep the lights on. So that's our first responsibility. That's what we're going to do. We're meeting tonight, and normally in May, even though this is the April meeting, normally in May we're preparing the adjustment for the 6-month LEAC. And if you'll recall, the LEAC is 6 months of what's the gas bill going to be, right? Mm-hmm. What are you paying? And that's February 1st and August 1st is when we make any adjustments to true it up. GPA can't make money on oil, but it can't lose money on oil, right? And so that's due in May, where we make a decision in May. We give it to the PUC, and they make a decision by August 1. But I know there'll be some conversation tonight about looking at, since we did buy an extra tanker, and the tanker we bought an extra 33% capacity. So we went to the store and bought some cheap oil, and it's running about 35-40% lower than our prior oil that we bought just a few months ago. So those savings are going to get passed on to the ratepayers. And the only question is, how fast can we do that? We've done 4 adjustments since last year, and I think we're going to do another one. When I look at the math, and I'm pretty good at that stuff, and I've been doing this a long time, the numbers on the future price of fuel are low enough that I think when we blend it into, right now we're burning the oil we bought 2 months ago at $50 a barrel. In 2 months, we're burning oil we're buying at $30 a barrel. So, but you have to blend that price, right? And that's your total cost of your inventory. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to lower the LEAC again for the 5th time in a year. And the only debate that I'll bring to the table tonight, although I've talked to John B, and he's already, John and I have worked together a long time. We're looking, well, if we can pass on the savings in June rather than in August, let's see if we can do that. Now, I don't know if John will be ready to make that number available tonight, but he's working it. Mm-hmm. But we can meet in a week or two, right, and get it done early, so we can try to get that bill lower. That's what I'm going to ask, is see, can we lower that LEAC again, but not wait till August? Let's try to do it in June. And I know John B is thinking about that already. And we'll see at tonight's meeting and discuss it. And I'm confident that between tonight's meeting and a May meeting, which I'm going to suggest we move up, so we can give the PUC enough time to act in case we can do it on June 1st. I personally would love to see us try to lower that rate again June 1st, because it just went down April 1st, and it went down on February 1st. Mm-hmm. So, we're doing the right thing. We're knocking it down as we get those savings and passing it on at a time people really need every savings they can come up with.
Right, and so you guys are making the ask to the ratepayers out there, if you can call in and try and get something arranged. But I know that in the previous extension of these closures and social isolation measures by the governor, you had said that the utilities would not be doing any disconnections during these public health emergencies. Is that still applying with this latest extension?
I assume it will. I mean, we've been consistent with it from the day it was announced, so I don't see a reason why we would not utilize not in parallel with what the governor is doing. I mean, the last thing people need is for us to start doing disconnections. I mean, really? That'd be worse than checkpoints. So,
roadblocks.
Roadblocks.
I'm sorry, roadblocks. I apologize, but we're not going to do it. We're not going to make it any worse. We have when we took over as a CCU 20 years ago, we were a financial mess, and now we're a much stronger company. We can weather. We protect it. This is ratepayer money. There's no person called GPA. GPA is 50,000 of us ratepayers. Our money is tied up in our company. There's 40,000 of us on the water side. and all of our collective monies are in these entities, and we are able so far to weather these storms, and that's how you want a utility to be strong enough to be able to pass on savings when it can, and not a headline saying, oh, the lights are going off, or we can't pay for oil, or
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at some of the stuff in the CNMI, and I just feel so bad for them. They're in the movie we were in 20 years ago, where
Right.
the government owes them millions, and I don't know how they buy the oil, and they're not getting the savings. So, and that's when people need it. So, I'm confident personally that the LEAC should go down again. I've talked to John. We'll talk about it tonight. I'm asking him to see if we can do it on June 1st rather than on August 1st, and I'm sure he'll look at that and work on that. And then on the disconnects, I don't see why we would change our policy. People are not getting paid. People haven't even gone back to work yet. They're just lifting the restrictions where people can go back to work. My laundry, we're only 3 days a week. I'm off today, because I don't have any customers, right? But luckily we got a PPP loan, so all of my people got paid last week, and and they were so happy. But we were one of the lucky ones, right? And we got in early. But there's
one of the 508 lucky ones.
Yeah, and there's hundreds of other companies. They're in queue, and I bet that money disappears quickly.
So fast.
And it still won't. And then you got to get the money, and that still takes a week or two. And then you finally got to pay your people and call them back to work. And even calling them back to work, there's nothing for them. Like, there's nothing for my people to wash.
Yeah.
But I pay them the hours, because that's what that program is designed to do. Keep people employed. It's a direct benefit. So I hope more of that money comes in, if another $100 million comes in. So, it'll be interesting to compare your broadcast today than a month from now, or hopefully not 2 months from now, when the PUA comes in and the FPUC comes in.
Right.
And the
I'm pretty sure all
in.
our listeners are going to be gone. They're going to be like, hey, we're going to be out here lining up to spend this money in whatever limited way we can.
Yeah, but it's going to go quick, too. I mean, that's the other thing.
I think it's already gone. So I think that people have leveraged things against that stimulus and thinking that it was going to. I know I've borrowed against it.
Yep. And you'll have to repay that back, and we hope people can catch up on their power bill if they can. And if they can't pay the whole thing off, I mean, just throw something at it, because we're all old adults now. We know what it's like to, it doesn't go away just because life has challenged you. So, like you said, you're leveraging this and that, but pretty soon you got to pay the piper.
Yeah. Okay, Si, we got to run because I'm going to get Mayor Rudy on. But thank you so much.
Thanks.
We just wanted to kind of get you on and hammer down what the stance is on the disconnections and the payment.
No disconnections, and hopefully even lower power bills coming up shortly.
Thank you, Si.
Thank you.
All right, you guys take care.
You
Thanks
too.
for what you do.
Right.
Okay.
There you go, Simon Sanchez. Wash your hands. Simon Sanchez of the CCU. Let's move along to Gigo now. Mayor Rudy.
Hello.
Mayor Rudy.
Hello.
Yes, Mayor Rudy. It's Chris and Sabrina. Good morning.
Hi, Mayor.
Mayor?
This is Dave. Chris.
Oh, Dave. Okay.